To understand how to make a successful product, we had to understand the set of news values for the foundation of our local radio show. These news values gives us an idea of what to make sure we look for when we get the news items. Before we started constructing and beginning production of our show, we had to understand what primary and secondary research was, and what made it qualitative or quantitative. We analyzed statistics on a website called Radar, showing the number of radio listeners for a specific local radio station, as quantitative research. We used SoundCloud as part of our secondary research to listen and record other radio shows to get a deeper understanding of how professional radio shows sound. To start off our genre research, we began looking at local radio. Local refers to material which is particularly interesting to those living or working within a certain area. This material could be delivered in various ways, radio being one of them. After understanding what makes local radio local, and going back and reviewing the commercial radio, smooth radio, we began to analyze the codes and conventions. An example of a code and convention would be the jingle. To begin our radio show, we had to research using a variety of reliable sources such as The Independent. I learned that in researching topics I had to make sure they were compatible with the news values such as the timeliness. Here's an example of script editing. To sound more professional, we were going to have to be more to the point and make the script flow more smoothly, so it sounded better and more appealing to the listener. To construct our show, we had to use an Apple MacBook. It served as a good platform to use Audacity and it was great for editing. Through this, we learned how to use the Mac and the equipment in correspondence to each other to produce a good radio show. This also furthered our ability in media. To record interviews, we used a Tascam portable microphone. We used it for our voxbox as we could go out and record with it. We learnt the importance of proximity between the speaker and the recorder, and why we had to keep the recording level at a certain amount for good sound. To make our product sound more professional compared to our preliminary task, YouTube was a big part. We used YouTube tutorials to become better at using programs like GarageBand to make our final product sound more professional. We knew we had to use sound effects to make our show sound better and more interesting. We used a website called Freesound to research and browse through various sound effects that would effectively make our show more advanced. GarageBand was used to produce our intro music. We had to make our show sound more professional, so the intro music couldn't be extreme or dull. It had to be casual, so we didn't add drums as it would make it sound too upbeat and unprofessional. We used a Yeti microphone to record good sound. We learned that we had to make sure the recording level was perfect as well as the patterns. We used the cardioid pattern as it was good for recording and picking up one person. I learned how to use various tools on Audacity. One was called the envelope tool. The envelope tool was used to create and manipulate control points at various points in the track. The control points then determine its volume. Another tool was the fade-in tool. This was used to create a gradual crescendo and made the transitions between sounds sound better and more professional. Here is an example of when we were putting the whole show together. We had to label the tracks and effectively multi-track each news item based on who was speaking. This kept the aesthetic of the show on Audacity tidy as everything was labelled and in the right place.